happens when you start to learn how to do a brain rewire? Basically, that is you having a say in the things that are happening in your life, which things you're going to enhance, which things you're going to eliminate, which things you're going to create. That is the power that you get when you learn how to do brain rewire. It is a skill to start listening to your brain and then enhancing it. Now remember, your brain is functioning based on all the different programs that have been instilled or allowed to be instilled your entire life. And you get to decide which of those programs that you're thinking are the least productive and that you want to enhance, or you want to change, or you want to eliminate. And that is what you get to do when you learn how to do a brain rewire. Because up until then, you have been saying, well, this is just who I am. This is how I was born. I don't know why I react this way, but it's just the way I do. Or, I do make changes, but the changes don't seem to stick. Okay? This is because you're going to learn right now how it is that when you're working with your brain, your subconscious mind, it is running up to 95% of what you do, think, and say. And until you rewire the subconscious, you're going to have this hard feeling that it's difficult to work with your brain. It's difficult to work with your mind. It's difficult to understand your reactions. Once you learn about how to brain rewire, all of that goes away because you know exactly what's going on in your brain, and you're going to know exactly what to do to help it, to guide it, to help it, to maintain it, to motivate it. And that is all going to be in your power. So your brain is your tool. Okay? It is a tool that is used to navigate you through life. And you get to decide what kind of messages that tool is going to send you. So when your brain is sending you a message that something is irritating, annoying, resentful, making you angry, okay, that's a program in there that is based on your reactions to things in the past and how you were brought up. And you get to change those if it's not what you want. If every time someone says something, you start to feel this big, well, change it. So those words, those actions don't have that power. Okay? If you find yourself getting really irritated and really upset and really worried about something, and has to do with your mindset, your beliefs, your automatic programs that you have going on in your brain, and you're saying, wait, no, that's not for me to worry about, but yet you still are, you can now know how to make sure that your brain is not reacting to things in a way that you do not want it to. You get to be in charge. You get to have a say. That is what the skill that you get, or the benefits that you get when you learn this basic skill of learning how to do a brain rewire. That's why it is a wonderful thing to learn. It takes making changes, making habits, routines, from being something difficult and that you do only occasionally because it's so difficult, to something that you can just do all the time, simply and easily. And that's what we teach you here at DIYmentalboost.com. So, are you ready? So, you're ready to work on yourself, but you don't know where to start. I tend to tell people if you don't want to work on situations, if you don't want to look at things that irritate you or things that happen to you as a youngster, then just start with the fact of how you are reacting to certain emotions. How do you feel about fear? How do you feel about guilt? How do you feel about being wrong? How do you feel about making mistakes? Okay? And rewire those. Okay? A mistake. Mistake is a mistake. We make mistakes, helps us to grow. And then we get to do something differently to get the better results. That's all a mistake can help you to do. Doesn't mean you're stupid. Doesn't mean you're not smart. Doesn't mean that you're always a person who makes mistakes. Okay, those are the identities that people sometimes get to when they think about making a mistake. Oh, you have to be perfect. If you make a mistake, you're not perfect. And you have to be perfect. Why do you have to be perfect? So you're going to look at all of the beliefs and the mindsets that you have going on in your mind that are telling you that, hey, if you don't meet this expectation, or if this happens, you are going to have a high, low vibe, intense vibe, a high, intense, low vibe reaction. And instead of you being motivated and productive, you're going to start to be demotivated, questioning and doubting. Okay, you get to choose which messages you want your brain to tell you. And that is what you learn how to do here at DIYmentalboost.com. You learn how to redirect your brain so that your brain knows to assign high vibe reactions to low vibe situations. Is a mistake just a mistake? Or is it your identity and it means something? Okay, so that is what you're going to learn to do. So think at fear. How do you feel about fear? What things scare you? And then you just do the 3-step thought process on that. Look at anger. What things make you angry? Man, I get really angry at. And then you just do the 3-step thought process. And if you haven't learned how to do the 3-step thought process yet, then you can always download the PDF guide in order to learn the 3 steps in order to do that. Okay, so it is, in the beginning, new for you, right? Okay, so we already learned about the brain, right? And the brain, when it comes to new things, it means it's in its growth state. You're going to have a learning curve. So that's just what happens when you're learning. You learn how to do something. Then you try it, and then you practice, and practice makes progress until all of a sudden, now it's something that you can do effortlessly. That's just the way it is. And if you have an issue with learning new things or not being able to do things right away, right when you learn them, or making mistakes, then, and you don't want to have an issue with that, you want to feel like it's okay. This is what happens with growth. See, when we're younger, we're growing all the time. We're used to people telling us things, correcting our mistakes. And depending, of course, how they correct them is how we start to feel about mistakes. But that's what you did as a child. You had to learn everything. But for some reason, when we get to a certain adulthood, we think it is horrible to ask questions because people will think that we don't know. We think it's bad if we don't know. And so we don't ask questions, and we do not try to grow as much. If it's threatening us and going to make us look not smart, or people think different of us, we're not going to go for it. So what you can learn to do with this rewire skill is to understand that not knowing, okay, saying you don't know, doing something wrong is all just part of the process of growing. When you're working on something and it is difficult to do, your brain is growing. How exciting is that? That means by the time that you finish putting in your effort, you're going to know how to do something that you didn't, better than what you did before. And each time you practice, you'll get better at it. That is what it means when you don't know how to do something, when something is difficult, or when something is hard. Isn't that exciting? But if you identify it with, I'm stupid, people are going to look at me as something I should know, I don't know, it's going to make, okay, that is the vibe that is keeping you from growing and staying stagnant and saying that you can't teach an old dog new tricks. Okay? Oh, I don't know how to do that. And then you never say to your brain, yet, I don't know how to do it yet. But now I'm going to take the time to learn how to do it. Now I'm going to invest my time, and I'm going to invest my energy into putting forth the effort to learn it. Instead, it's just, we can't do it. That is an automatic brain pattern that you get used to dismiss things that you don't know how to do or that you're difficult with, and learning to avoid them. Now, if you don't want to do that, then you're going to sit there and say, hey, I don't know yet, but you know what? I'm going to learn. And it's okay if I do not get it perfect the right way. It's okay if I actually never master it, but at least I've learned the basics of it, something in my tool bag that I can utilize as needed. And then maybe if you decided, well, I don't have maybe the time to master it, but maybe you can hire someone who knows how to do that. And it's okay. You hire the people around you who can do the things that you want. That's okay too. So you learn, you don't have to do everything in order to show that you're competent or to make it feel to yourself that you're competent. So these are all the things that you're going to learn to do when you're looking at how you are reacting things. And then you just rewire them. so that they are productive for you. Okay? All your mindsets and programs, if you get them productive, woo! You're going to be able to navigate through things very smoothly. You got to look at it as a GPS system. Okay, you have a GPS system, you enter an address where you want to go and you set off, but then there's roadblocks, there's this and that. Does the GPS just sit there and say, oop, that's it? No, it reroutes you and gets you to where you want to go. And that's what you want your brain to do. You want to have all the mindsets and all the programs in it that as you're going through life, no matter what comes up, it's going to reroute you automatically. You're not going to get stumped. You're not going to get thrown off for a year, a day, a week. Okay? Couple of hours, unproductive. You're supposed to get something done and you didn't, and then finally you get going again. Your brain will become your automatic GPS system that just keeps you navigating smoothly through things. That is the advantage of learning how to understand what's going on with your brain, what's going on inside it, and how to guide it to continue to help you to work through life smoothly, no matter what is coming across your path. Okay? If you're always looking for traumas and situations, oh, that's such traumatic. All of those viewpoints that you have towards those things is what causes them to be hard and difficult. And that is the only difference between a trauma and a situation that came up that you had to handle. That's the difference between what you identify as a trauma, because a trauma means it has so affected you that it has made now life difficult. Situation is something that just comes up and you handle it and you move on. That's the only difference between those two. What do you want in your life? Situations that come up that you handle, or traumas that affect you for the rest of your life and you're just never going to be able to recover? That is what you get to decide for yourself. Right now, you have programs telling you what's a trauma and you just keep following that. And this is a trauma, and that's a trauma, and this is trauma, and this is a trauma. Okay? So you keep repeating the cycle and your brain keeps learning how to deal with things and identify them as traumas, as things that you're just not going to have easy recovery from. But if you choose to rewire that, it will be different. And that is the only difference. It has nothing to do with the particular circumstance that happened. It has to do with the perception you have of the circumstance. I will repeat, it has nothing to do with the circumstance of what happened. It has to do with how your brain is reacting to the circumstance. That is why some people recover faster than others. Some people never recover. It has to do with how their brain is perceiving what happened to them. Once you realize that, you can change that and say, okay, at first, this is my reaction. It's a trauma. Now I'm going to rewire it. It's going to be a situation that I handled and will get through, or did get through, or have gotten through. And that is the choice that you get to have if you choose to learn how to rewire your reactions to things. It's a skill that you can cultivate and learn. Just like you learned how to read, just like you learned how to write, maybe you learned how to play ball, maybe you learned how to play a bike, play an instrument, ride a bike, drive a car. Okay, there are some people who still never drive a car and it's too big and scary for them, right? Okay, or some people who didn't learn maybe how to read very well and it's too big and scary for them because unfortunately they got the program in their head that they can't read well. I have people who learn languages and they still talk about how they don't speak a language very well, and they speak it extremely well, but they still criticize and consider that they are a low speaker of a particular language. So you're going to learn with this brain rewire skill to have thoughts and have programs that keep you motivated instead of demotivated. This is Renee Thomas with DIY Mental Boost. I'm glad that you are here. Continue to watch my video so you can learn about your brain and how it is that you can best aid it to keep you motivated and productive and content with life.